Hi, and welcome back to the Ascension Playground. This is Ursie, and today I'm going to be talking about another one of the beautiful fixed stars of Persia. It's called a royal star, and there are 4 of them up in the heavens that hold everything together. They were navigational points where the grid of north, south, east, west, alignments and time, the calendar were all set by these beautiful 4 royal stars. And as I've shared before, there's 2 dates. Some say that the Persian stars originated in our narrative around 550 before Christ, BC. But then others where I've read, it's like going back 3 or 4,000 years from today. So in any event, this interest in the royal fixed stars as a way to engage on Earth with the heavenly bodies. So today we get to talk about a fixed star called Fomalhaut. Okay, Fomalhaut or Fomalhaut. So you can say tomato, I'll say tomato. Let's go take a look at the fixed star, the royal star Fomalhaut. Here we are. I'm sharing an image that I created of a slide of Fomalhaut. Look at that beautiful star, this image. Now, it does look like an eye, doesn't it? What we're seeing is the particles of dust, the radiation going out and forming this incredible circular or almost ovalesque shape around the star. But the star is in the center point. Okay, so where is it located? It's in the constellation called Piscis, Piscis Austrinus. Oh, my Latin's not so good. Piscis Austrinus. Some people will just say Pisces Austrinus. Now, please don't get confused. This is not Pisces, the constellation. It's Piscis Austrinus constellation. And Fomalhaut means the mouth of the fish. So what's its fuller name? The mouth of the southern fish who drinks water from Aquarius's jar. Remember Aquarius, the image of the water bearer? Well, this is the fish who's drinking the water, and the fixed star Fomalhaut is right in the fish's mouth in the heavens. Okay, let's see. So this fixed star, royal star Fomalhaut, is called in science Alpha Piscis Austrinus. There you go. APA. In mythology, in our narrative around the metaphor of energy with this particular royal star, it is associated with the energy of Archangel Gabriel. It's also known as the Watcher of the South. Now remember Archangel Gabriel, if you go back to the Bible, this is the angel sent to communicate to Mary that she was with child, the messenger. So this energy of Archangel Gabriel with this royal star Fomalhaut has to do with communication, new beginnings, and strength. This star, in my research, says that it was very prominent during the birth of Jesus. Kinda wondering, was it the big star in the sky that the 3 magi followed to find the baby Jesus? Not sure. Wasn't there. Anyway, the color that goes with this beautiful royal star is the color white or silver. It's a white or silver ray. And when I share the color, I'm talking not just on the color spectrum, but the metaphor and the meaning of what white and silver offer. It holds the element, because there's 4 elements in astrology, of fire. So when is the best time? If let's say you find in your natal chart that you have an activated royal star Fomalhaut, the best time, especially if you have it activated in your chart, To meditate, if you sit in the northern hemisphere, your current residence is in the north, not the southern hemisphere, but the northern hemisphere. There are 2 times a year to meditate with this beautiful royal star, February 22nd in the daytime and August 22nd in the evening. Now you reverse that if you're in the southern hemisphere. You sit and meditate if I was in the southern hemisphere on February 22nd in the evening and on August 22nd in the daytime. Okay, it has to do with whether this fixed star is conjunct the sun or opposite. Okay, that's kind of some deeper light language, astro woo woo. But let me show you a picture next. So we'll get back to the idea of tell me more about this Royal Star Fomalhaut. Okay, here we go. And here it is. This image, the gentleman with his red loincloth holding a vase that's dripping water or pouring water, that is the image of Aquarius up in the heavens. But he's stepping on a fish. It's the southern fish. And I found a fish and I put it on the bottom of his feet. But unfortunately, it was cut off in the image from the box of stars. So here, if I could have found a fish with its mouth open and a red star inside its mouth, that would have been a better image of Fomalhaut. But to find it in the night sky, if you can find Aquarius, it's going to be the fish drinking the water that Aquarius holds. It's very interesting, isn't it? The southern fish drinking the water of Aquarius. Okay, but again, not to be confused with Pisces. The constellation Pisces is right nearby. See up, I'm not sure if you can see my little pointer, but it's to the upper left of this card. And that is the two fish chained. One is swimming one way, the other the other. So there's more fish in the heavens than just Pisces. Here we have the fixed star in the constellation of the southern fish. Okay. Hope that was helpful. I love looking at the pictures. A lot easier to remember in the sky. Where do I find the fixed royal star Fomalhaut? Okay, here's some more imagery. You can see it does look like an eyeball, doesn't it? But actually, the metaphor from the ancients, the Persians, was that it was the mouth of the fish. You remember some of the stories where the fish swallows the gem or the fish swallowing a key? Well, this fish in the heavens is swallowing the fixed star Fomalhaut. Okay, and on the right-hand image, you can see Piscis Austrinus, how it looks in the heavens. But what does it mean if you have this fixed star in your chart or a loved one has this fixed chart? Well, I pulled together some information, again, based on Julia Balaz's research on starseedsteachable.com. First of all, I put in a picture of Archangel Gabriel. And wouldn't you know it, this beautiful image coming from Diana Cooper's Archangel Oracle Cards deck has that same white and silvery light for her card of Archangel Gabriel. So the metaphor of the diamond, of the lily, of the purity, of the communicating Archangel Gabriel. So people with an activated natal chart with Fomalhaut will oftentimes be sensitive and compassionate souls. They're going to have already an innate connection to Jesus. So that would be interesting to see, the very sensitive one who cares about other people. It's a marker for communication and not just earthly. It's for new beginnings and strength. If a child has this in their chart, I would look at what do they talk about? Do they love this idea of union with God or nature? How do they feel about other people? Are they highly empathic? Do they sense other people's suffering? So, unfortunately, for this gift to come forward, as each of the royal stars brings forward a gift, but will also be challenged so that the gift comes forward. So, their early childhood may include some type of trauma. And then later in life, having overcome that trauma, are able to become teachers to help other people with their wounded past with very similar traumas. So the lessons to learn if you find Fomalhaut in your chart would be how to have effective communications and setting up healthy boundaries with others. So instead of giving, 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 it's like, okay, I feel good about this, but not that. Communicating boundaries. Well, I'm going to stop sharing there. That was a little bit of a blast on this second fixed star. We talked about the royal star Regulus, the king, and now we're talking about the communication, the angel, that Archangel Gabriel, who was, let's just say, there at the birth of Christ, beckoning the shepherds to come see the birth, the new beginning. And I love this idea that as we move from the age of Pisces, the fish, into now this new age of Aquarius, there is that connection. In the zodiacal wheel in astrology, Aquarius sits next to then a Pisces. So there is this connection. But when you start learning about the stories of the fixed star, you see how they're connected. In this case, the southern fish, excuse my pashmina, the southern fish drinks the water of the Aquarian water bear. So fascinating. What's in that water? I hope this was helpful. I'm going to next do the fixed and royal stars of Aldebaran and Antares. Hope to see you soon and see you next time on the Ascension Playground. I'm back. As soon as I ended, I thought, oh, I would like to tell you a little bit more about the fixed star Fomalhaut. You know, this astrologyking.com is remarkable. It's a gold mine, again, for learning about fixed stars, but the royal stars. Now, this is the interesting thing. I was lucky to travel to the south of France with a tour group that was led by William Henry. He's the guy on Ancient Aliens in the History Channel who does so many great shows on the history. And so when we were in the south of France, he'd always point to, see this image over here? That's what it means. Before the society was literate, before we could read, you know, many people had to see paintings or they had to have emblems to remind them what was going on. So during that pre-literate state, we'd see a lot of these, like a four square. And the four squares, if I remember correctly, had to do with these four animals. And it just occurred to me that the four animals relate to the four royal stars, these guardians of the heavens that are holding it up. Again, remember the timeline? As far back, some say, as 3,000 to 4,000 years ago, that this idea of the four primary stars, well, the stories found their way into the Bible. And I remember, I thought, okay, is it the four books or the four gospels? You know, but when I went to astrologyking.com, I want to share what he says. And it's fascinating. His name is Jamie. So here's Astrology King, and you can Google fixed star Fomalhaut. Here's its degrees for how to find it in the heavens. See how it's an upside down fish? But it's, again, it's not Pisces, it's Piscis austrinus, the southern fish. Okay. So here we go. These are the other stars that are associated with that constellation. But here's Fomalhaut. And here's what he says. Okay. See, he's the one that also cites out 3,000 before Christ in Persia. So again, it's the winter solstice. We knew that. But here's when he starts talking about the archangel stars, these four stars. Back in history, they were characterized as horses, the four horsemen of the apocalypse. Yikes, going into Revelation 6. But also, Jamie cites, they could also be looked at as the chariot horses in the book of Zechariah. Well, I haven't read Zechariah. But when he writes about this fixed star, Fomalhaut, he said that Regulus used to be the top of the four stars. It was like, again, the king's star, right? The supreme of the four. Seems like everyone wants to be on top. But in any case, in this narrative, Jamie is saying on Astrology King that actually the fixed star Fomalhaut, because it's related to Archangel Gabriel at the time of the birth of Jesus, that it's actually moved on top of Regulus in its role now as helping with the human spiritual evolution. So interesting, interesting. Let me stop sharing that. So it's fascinating. Our collective narrative, whether it's communal, countrywide, or global, our stories change as we evolve. In fact, when you look at the heavens, Ptolemy and others, we've got 88 named constellations, and they've been chopped up and moved around and reclassified. And then you go into Asia, and they have different names and meanings for the same stars. So it goes back to our narrative and our stories. But here in 2022, again, as we move from the age of Pisces into Aquarius, it's interesting that this particular fixed star, Fomalhaut, mm, holds that energy and basically helps wrap up the story of the Piscean era. So thank you. The birth of Christ, let's say, or even the beginning of time, the Alpha and the Omega. So a big chapter is closing, opening with the birth, closing with the Mayan calendar. Do you see how these global narratives, there's something happened metaphorically with energy. So when we look to the stars, it's not just, okay, here's a box, here's the narrative, and that's all there is. Instead, it's more like a living library of energy and metaphor as we change and we shift and we evolve. So it's fascinating, right? As we evolve, we're going to then start seeing more. And look what's happened in this year, 2022, the James Webb telescope from NASA, showing us even clearer images of our most amazing universe, multiverses, metaverses, right? So here we go. Anyway, thanks for listening to this little add-on. I'll be back soon to share our other two royal stars of heaven. Bye for now.